Claire, who's one of our patrons and patron supporters, asks, you speak a lot toward the vocations of holy life and matrimony, but how common is a vocation to single life? And how do you know if it's your calling? Well, from a strictly canonical viewpoint, in terms of Catholic language, there are vocations to the priesthood and vocations to the married life. A vocation, strictly speaking in canon law, is something which you make a solemn profession of vows for, such as the priesthood or the married life. We do have the state of the consecrated singles, but the state of just being single in and of itself, strictly speaking, is not a capital V vocation. But it is, I would say, a lowercase v vocation of a calling that God does give to some people in this life. Now, this is a tough one because the thing is, like, when you get married, like, you know you're married. When you enter the priesthood, it's like, okay, I went through the vows, everything, I am officially a priest. The challenge with it, when there aren't those solemn profession of vows, it's like, okay, I know I am single, but is God calling me to singleness 8-9 years from now? Like, I don't know. This is where it's tricky. And I think where holiness is to be found in the single life is not necessarily in the absolute conviction that you know with unshakable certainty that singleness is what you'll be forever. And once you know that, then you can kind of settle in there, lock in. It's like a tenured university professor, and you're there. I think the holiness to be found in the single life is abandonment to the will of God in the present moment, because that's a cross of having sometimes achings and yearnings, not only for the married life, but I know people that yearn for the religious life and went and discerned at a community, and the community discerned, I don't feel that this is actually your vocation. It's like, ouch. Requires a lot of humility and trust in God of just like, wow, I really ache for this, but it doesn't seem like that's your will for me. And you have 10 times as many people, I think, on the opposite side of the fence that just want to get married, want to have a family, want to have kids. And it's like, okay, where is the right person? They're nowhere in sight. And they're left in this kind of desert of uncertainty where it's like, God, I think my desire is pure and good and holy. Like, I want this good thing, but it doesn't seem to be happening in my timetable. And I think it was St. Maximilian Kolbe who talked about suffering with a capital W and a lowercase w, meaning capital W is God's will, lowercase is kind of our will. And when those two things don't line up and they're not equal to one another, there's suffering there. And so in the single life, there is suffering. Now, some people are tremendously content. Like, I didn't want to get married anyway, and I just feel totally at home. Hey, great. You'll experience sufferings in whatever way, we all do. But for other people, it's a tremendous cross. And so what I would try to do is try to embrace that cross each day and say, look, God, I don't know if I'm going to spend the rest of my days single. I don't know if you're going to call me home next week. I don't know if you're going to introduce me to Mr. Wonderful tomorrow. Like, I don't know. But what I do know is that I trust you. And what I do know is that you're a loving Father. And I'm going to place all my trust in my trust of you. And so I think by doing that, it allows us to live in the present moment, because we don't know if we have tomorrow. I mean, you look at some of the young blesseds in the church, like Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, and, he wanted to pursue this woman towards marriage, but her parents, or I guess her family, was from a higher class than he was, and they didn't approve of it. And that was a cause of suffering for him. But he learned that one of the most beautiful forms of affection is friendship. And so he didn't force the hand there. He didn't try to say, I don't care what your parents think, we're going to do this anyway. He trusted God. And, God ended up taking him home to heaven when the guy was only 24 years old. He's, God willing, going to be a canonized saint in the Catholic Church one day. If you're not familiar with this guy, Google this guy. Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati. Guy's a tournament skier, mountain climber. He looks like an Abercrombie and Filth model. I mean, just this man's man, smoking stogies and hiking in the woods. He would go to the billiards to play pool with different people in town. And he'd say, look, okay, here's the deal. If you beat me at pool, I'll give you money. But if I beat you at pool, you have to come with me to Eucharistic adoration. And so he would wipe the floor of these people playing pool, beat them all, and then bring crowds of young people to Eucharistic adoration. He eventually contracted an illness from the poor people that he was taking care of, and he passed away. And even on his deathbed, he was kind of scrawling on a piece of paper, hey, this is the bus ticket for that guy, and make sure this guy gets his medicine and this guy gets his food. Like, the guy's 24 years old. And he could have been lying on his deathbed, wallowing in self-pity of just like, oh, all my years were before me and they were lost. But no, he's still thinking of others. And I think that's perhaps what gave him such joy, that he wasn't always navel-gazing. He was always looking out. And so Granted, singleness can be a cause of suffering, and you don't want to just white knuckle. I don't care if I suffer. I'm not going to talk to anybody about it. You want to be able to express that to God and to other people. But at the end of the day, to make sure that you're looking outward, that this time of singleness has been given to you by God. Whether it's going to last another day, another week, another decade, we don't know. But what we know is this is a unique opportunity to serve God in a way that you can't in the married life, or sometimes even in the priesthood and the religious life. There's a unique opportunity that God is offering you today to serve him. Say a big old yes to God today and entrust the future entirely to him. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that little clip, but if you want to see the whole episode where this came from, just click the link here. And in the meantime, we want to invite you to help us share this message, and there's a couple things you can do real quick. Number one, if you like or comment or share this video, YouTube will actually show it to more people. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. We release videos every single day, and you'll be notified as soon as those come out. If you want to help us also to spread this message, you can support us at patreon.com/Jason Evert. That helps us to create these videos and show them to the whole world. God bless.